All right, everybody. So, I actually tried to do this segment on stream last time, and I was co-commentating it with Ethan, who sadly can't join me for this right now, which is goddamn tragic because I really wanted to show him this story, and I feel like we would have had some good stuff to say bouncing off each other on this topic, but we'll have to settle for me doing it solo, tragically. My headset died like a tenth of the way through this topic last time that we did it, so I'm going to go ahead and just start right from the top on this one, and we're going to go straight through it, okay? Now, a little while ago, by that I mean 3 years ago, a very anticipated game was announced called The Day Before. It was basically meant to be a AAA quality, polished DayZ replacement. If you've ever heard of DayZ, D-A-Y-Z, DayZ, I guess is a way of pronouncing it if you're not American, by the way. It's a zombie game, open world, customize a character, go out into the world, you find clothing, you have to survive because there's heavy survival mechanics, you have to kill zombies, there are players out there, there's in-game chat, that kind of thing. Really cool game concept. DayZ standalone has been very poor evolution, or poor execution in most people's opinions. It's gotten better, still really buggy. I bought the game in 2013. I still don't feel like the game I paid money for has been made yet. So, with that in mind, the idea of The Day Before was very exciting, right? Like, the idea of this game that would be what DayZ was always supposed to be was very alluring. So naturally, when the trailer came out for it, it very quickly blew up on Steam and became the most wish-listed game on all of Steam. However, as time started to pass, people noticed some pretty fishy stuff about this game and the trailers. For one, people started to realize this game might not be real. For one, every single trailer was pretty weird, for lack of a better term. It came off as at least very heavily scripted, possibly heavily pre-rendered. On top of that, the studio that was putting this game out had no history of good, high-budget, large-scale games like this. All of their previous games had been massive failures, and all of them much, much smaller scale. But then again, there were some other things that made the game seem a little bit plausible, such as the fact that they were being published by an actual, studio, and like an actual publisher that's well known, and the fact that they were being endorsed by Nvidia, which is pretty well reputable at the time, before this whole situation. Sure enough, The Day Before came out, and it ended up being a massive scam, a asset flip, a just soulless cash grab, and within 4 days of the game's launch, the studio shut down, the game got pulled off Steam, and everyone has been refunded. The Day Before has been wiped from the internet. The studio has shut down and renamed themselves, I believe, which relates to what I'm going to talk about here, and The Day Before has gone down in gaming history as one of the biggest embarrassments and lessons learned for gamers that fell for it of all time. The thing is, though, it's happening again. A new Day Before has entered the arena. I had this video sent to me, and after watching a small amount of it, I realized quite quickly that I should cover it on stream. It's only 9 days old, and this channel is relatively small for how high quality and great of a video this is. It's by a YouTuber named Bob Vids. Of course, there'll be a link down below in the description. So make sure to check out the video, comment on it, drop a like, all that good stuff. I'm dropping a link in chat now. But he made a video called I Uncovered This Dev's Secret. Now he wants to sue me. The truth about Super Normal. You might have heard of this game. It's called Super Normal. It's an upcoming horror game, and it is made by a Nazi, transphobic scammer, plagiarist dev. It goes a lot deeper, and it's a lot more fucked up than that, but that's my best way of summarizing it. Let's jump right into it, okay?
Hey, before we get started, I just wanted to make it clear that I do not condone the harassment of any individuals that appear in this video. Don't do that, please. Thanks. So it's no secret that I've been working on a massive new video on Bloober Team's game, The Medium, for years at this point, because time is a flat circle and life is hell. Subscribe for that video now if you want to be the first to complain about how long it ends up being. Well, during this time, I've uncovered interesting information regarding The Medium's development, as well as Bloober Team's history, and in early 2023, I discovered that one of the developers who worked on The Medium and subsequently left Bloober under suspicious circumstances had liked transphobic and racist tweets, heavily implying they potentially harbored transphobic and racist views. I told my Discord about the situation in June.
I think he's actively being threatened with legal action, and that's why he's being so anal about the, like, allegedly for legal purposes thing.
And a regular there named Red Rum Dum Dum brought the issue up with the dev directly. This started a chain reaction where the dev began deleting their problematic likes, so I made a call-out post on my twitter.com letting everyone know the kind of person you'd be supporting if you bought the dev's upcoming game. That developer was Artur Wączowski, and that upcoming—
This is the guy. Artur Polish bullshit, as I say. Whenever I encounter some Polish bullshit last name like this, I just say first name Polish bullshit. It works.
And that upcoming game was Stray Souls.
Not like I'm gonna get any sleep.
So, this guy, Artur, is the Nazi scammer dev in question. And this was his first, like, big solo game. I don't know if it was solo, but, like, his first game under his solo studio publisher he put out that, like, was really hyped up. People were excited for it. Came out, and it was a complete embarrassment. Here's a clip from it. The monster design's not that bad, to be fair. It's just...
So yeah,
wow.
It turns out one of the worst games of 2023 was made by an alleged racist transphobe. Shocking, I know. I'm sure the people on my...
By the way, I know I kind of didn't allow the tweets in question to stay on screen for long, but they're pretty fucked up. They're basically him saying, like, being trans is a mental illness. One of them is saying that white people need to get as more uncivilized than black people in reference to, like, engaging in political violence. Like, he's an actual Nazi. He like wants to engage in, like, a violent race war by the implication of that tweet. He liked multiple tweets that were, like, really transphobic too. So yeah. And of course, whenever you make a post pointing something like that out about someone, you always get posts from people like this that are like, oh, based, I'll subscribe then. Based, I'll grab a copy then. And you always know it's someone who already knew about this person and was a fan, and they're just bullshitting to troll. But, like, it's just like, it's annoying that those people exist, you know? They take joy in the fact that they're bad people. And that's what's really frustrating, is that there's people out there that know they're bad people, and they take joy in the fact that people are upset that they are bad people. Get it?
Call-out tweet who said they were going to buy the game specifically to support the devs' alleged dogshit views had a fantastic time and don't feel ripped off at all. Anyway, why am I talking about this old news? Well, two reasons. First, documentation. After Stray Souls bombed immediately upon release, Artur released an apology for liking those racist and transphobic tweets, both via his Jukai Studios account, the company he released the game under, and his personal Twitter account.
So yeah. I read this apology whenever we did the first version of this. This version's really blurry and unreadable, but he did link a readable version down below in the description, and I read it. It's a pretty, like, Chat GPT written apology. It comes off as really sincere a few years ago. Now, knowing that AI exists, it really comes off as written by AI. Especially when you know that one of the big accusations, well, one of the big reveals about this guy that he got exposed for is that he uses AI for, like, a ridiculous amount of his game development and lies about it. But yeah, this was his old studio name that he released Stray Souls under, though we'll be getting to his new studio name momentarily, because all of this basically disgraced him, and now he's hiding, and he's trying to rebrand, and that's what we're going to be getting into in a moment.
Account, the company he released the game under, and his personal Twitter account. Here it is. What's that? It's too blurry? Oh, yeah, let me find a higher quality version. Oh, wait, I can't because he fucking deleted it. He deleted his apology. Nothing says I'm sorry better than deleting the time that you said I'm sorry. But
that's why I don't really care to reread the apology here for you guys, because, like, even if it was genuine, it wasn't, because, like, yeah.
Maybe it was for the
He
best.
deleted it.
After all, Artur was clearly possibly lying at multiple points in his apology, one of which was preserved by Sissel the Cat on Twitter when she said, "A more immature version of myself." Dude, the likes were from May. Shut the fuck up and eat your...
I always love that whenever someone like gets canceled for something they said and they use the I was less mature back then, and it's like it was earlier this year. You know, like there's got to have been at least a year ago when you say you were immature back then. It can't be from like months ago. Like you can't say you've developed over the last few months and you're different now unless you like really, really clearly are. But like, yeah, I'm sorry. That excuse just doesn't fly unless a lot of time has passed, in my opinion.
Your terrible game. Speaking of potential lies, at multiple points during the lead up to Stray Souls' release, Artur stated over and over again that he never liked those tweets that I called him out for. Despite photo and video evidence that he liked those tweets, he never liked those tweets. He said in interviews,
I've never liked any kind of transphobic or racist tweets, simply because I am not that kind of person. I have nothing but respect for all kind of people. I work with people that are identifying as a LGBTQ plus and are different skin color than mine.
At one point, he even accused me of fabricating this whole situation, that I was the one who was lying. So it was kind of a relief when he fessed up. But the evidence that he did is now a goddamn blurry mess, because at the end of the day, it appears that Artur is possibly banking on no one paying attention. And about a month after Stray Souls released, he deleted his entire Twitter account. So yeah, that's part of the reason I'm making this video, to archive this whole stupid situation and hold up.
So the main meat of this entire drama already happened. It all already happened. This Artur guy got exposed. He apologized. He deleted the apology. The game got exposed as like plagiarism, asset flipped models, AI, all that good stuff. And he's disappeared from the internet. Here's where the real news story starts.
Artur accountable. So if he ever decides to make a video game in the future, you, the consumer, can make an educated decision on how you spend your money. Which brings me to the second reason for making this video. Artur is making a new game called Super Normal.
Yep.
I was tipped off to this.
The crazy thing about this whole thing is there's something about this story that when I found it out, I had to stop watching and save the rest of the video for watching on stream. Because there is a thing about this story that makes me surprisingly emotionally connected to it and makes me extra mad about all of this, okay?
A few weeks ago by an anonymous source on Twitter who was close to the situation. Looking into the game, it has all the telltale signs of Artur. Namely that it's not original at all. Stray Souls was a Silent Hill knockoff right down to involving Akira Yamaoka, who I'm sure is very happy with how things turned out. Stray Souls also heavily ripped off PT, from the kid in Silent Hill's concept trailer to basing the story on PT's radio broadcast. Plus, it's got the mark of quality for modern games. AI art. Isn't it beautiful? This is also probably a good time to mention that Artur first made a name for himself in the indie horror scene and possibly even scored his job at Bloober Team for his recreation of Hideo Kojima's PT for PC. What's wrong with that? Nothing. Just that he charged people money to play it by exclusively hosting it on his Patreon. Oh, also he added himself to the ending of PT in addition to a plug for his Patreon. And
so scummy, dude. Oh, it's so fucking scummy. I'll get into it in a moment when he gets to the point that I really want to talk about, because it's going to be a long stun lock, and I want to let the video play for a minute.
Anyway, where Super Normal innovates is how it obfuscates its unoriginality by not being a spiritual successor to PT, but rather being a spiritual successor to Allison Road. See, that's technically better, because Allison Road billed itself as a spiritual successor to PT back when it...
So, here it is. Now, when I was 14, that is when PT came out on the PlayStation 4. PT was the playable teaser for Silent Hills, a now defunct new Silent Hills reboot game that would be made by Hideo Kojima, starring Norman Reedus, and co-directed by Guillermo del Toro. It was gonna be the tits, dude. It was gonna be the mega tits. Right? The problem was Konami is evil, and that all didn't go it fell through, right? But what ended up happening was the world got exposed to an extremely high-budget, first-person, really graphically realistic, slow-paced, psychological horror game. PT is to this day, go and watch a Let's Play of it. PT is to this day really fucking scary, dude. It's really fucked up that you can't play it anymore except for like subpar recreations of it on PC, right? It is so goddamn good. Now, I was really upset when PT got canceled, as you can imagine. And because of that, me and many other gamers were left with this deep hunger, much like with DayZ, how it left a lot of people with like a deep hunger for a game that like fulfills what it was supposed to be. PT never, I guess Silent Hills never existing, led to a lot of people having this like hunger for a game like that that's like an actual full game. And so PT ended up inspiring a whole genre of video games. Now, eventually we would get games like Resident Evil 7 and 8, which like basically take the idea of what the PT demo was and make it into like a proper game. I really do feel like if you liked PT and you wish it became a full proper game, Resident Evil 7 and 8 are going to be exactly what you want. However, before we ever got those, or they were ever announced, or even knew they were going to come out, there were a lot of indie devs making game demos and posting them on YouTube for to-be-announced release date games that would basically be spiritual successors to PT, right? The idea was that they would not necessarily be a spiritual successor of Silent Hills, but the demo for it. The whole hyper-realistic graphics, zoomed-in, low FOV, like, camera, the, like, very slow-paced psychological horror, that kind of thing. One of my favorite of these games that got announced that was being developed by an indie developer is Allison Road. And the crazy thing is, at the time that like it was still in development and I was like eagerly following the updates about the game's development, I was in vacation staying in Connecticut in this house that looked astonishingly similar to the house in this teaser. So like I don't know. I felt like a very strong emotional connection to my excitement and hype for this horror game that then ended up getting canceled. So I didn't really end up getting that desire for a game like that fulfilled until Resident Evil 7 and 8 came out. It is what it is, I guess. Anyway, yeah, I'll resume the video here. Yep, New England is all over spooky video games. It is indeed. I really like Connecticut. It's pretty.
Allison Road. See, that's technically better because Allison Road billed itself as a spiritual successor to PT back when it was revealed in July of 2015. So Supernormal is really a spiritual successor to a spiritual successor, and whoops, words have lost all meaning. Supernormal is an official spiritual successor though, because Artur got permission to make the game from the original creator of Allison Road, Christian Kessler, on Facebook. This fact is being used to promote the game, so I reached out to Christian with some questions, and despite his very busy schedule—
This fact makes me so upset that this guy's a scammer piece of shit. Because this guy was making, if this guy wasn't a piece of shit and was doing some, like, ethically doing this, I'd be so on board with what he's making. But what we're about to find out very quickly, obviously what we already know means that we wouldn't want to support this game, but this detail really just ruins it.
He kindly replied to me almost instantly and confirmed that the dev of the game is indeed Artur Wączowski. He also seemed confused about Artur blatantly ripping off—
By the way, yeah, the guy, rebranded his studio and claims that the studio has nothing to do with him. The studio claims they have nothing to do with him. This guy confirms that it is Artur. And on top of that, it gets crazier.
His antagonist from Allison Road. Quote, "I didn't quite realize inspired by means he's just going to recreate the character, lol." So that's basically the situation as it
seems. His spiritual successor game to Allison Road, the game that got, canceled, that was being developed, is literally a ripoff of it. This is the monster from the game's Supernormal, I think it's called, Supernormal. And this is the monster Ghost Girl from Allison Road here.
Being a spiritual successor to Allison Road. See, that's technically better because Allison Road billed itself as a
it's the same
spiritual successor to PT.
Even the dev is like, wow, I didn't realize this meant just straight up ripping the character. Okay.
And despite his very busy schedule, he kindly replied to me almost instantly and confirmed that the dev of the game is indeed Artur Wączowski. He also seemed confused about Artur blatantly ripping off his antagonist from Allison Road. Quote, "I didn't quite realize
Artur is just a full-on plagiarist. He rips everything in his games from other popular stuff and tries to ride the coattails of popular genres with half-assed asset flip, AI-filled, garbage nothing games that perform horribly when they release, constantly rebranding whenever he gets called out for it, but also being a Nazi piece of shit. Isn't it weird how all these internet scams always lead back to conservatives? Interesting how that keeps happening.
Inspired by means he's just going to recreate the character, lol. So that's basically the situation as it stands right now. Artur Łączowski pulled a fantastic and is now actively running away from his mistake.
Even he's comparing it to the day before.
Attempting to hide behind a new project and hoping no one finds out. A few weeks ago, Artur released a statement on his Jukai Studio account announcing its closure and vaguely threatening to sue someone, some cyber persecutor whose terrible crime seems to be sending people unwanted messages and emails. Ah, well, that explains why Stray Souls turned out to be hot garbage, doesn't it? All those goddamn emails. You know, part of me wants to end this video on a hopeful note. Like, some gullible section of my brain wants to plead with Artur to just stop running away, to undelete his Twitter and repost the apologies so he might actually learn something from this whole ordeal and become a better, more honest person eventually. To realize the pain he's putting out into the world by boosting racist and transphobic hate. But another part of me hopes he leaves the game dev space and never comes back, and that's the part of me that knows about Artur's first original game, Cold World. See,
So, we've talked about Supernormal. Supernormal is going to be an AI-filled, plagiarist asset flip, and it's no doubt going to be hot garbage as far as actual game. Do not buy Supernormal. Do not support this guy's games. That is the public statement I'm making here, the public service announcement I'm making. Now we're doing the deep dive into this guy's past, and we're about to learn about the really fucked up shit this guy did.
Redrum has been helping me with research on this video. Thank you very much for your help, by the way, Red. At one point during the creation of this video, Redrum decided to reach out to a former coworker of Artur's who goes by Shadow's Fate. Shadow's Fate proved to be a wealth of knowledge about how Artur operated specifically with regard to his 2018 title Cold World, a game about a rookie cop investigating a crime scene. Think Resident Evil without zombies and really bad jump scares.
Police, come out now.
Okay. Yep.
Anyway, Shadow's Fate was the voice actor for the game's main character, though he says he helped out with the plot too, but Artur threw out most of his contributions. Watching a playthrough of the game on YouTube, I was taken aback by one scene in particular. By the way, I've censored this scene myself. The original is fully uncensored. Can't spell Artur without art, I guess. So when Shadow's Fate said I might be shocked by something in the game, I initially thought he was talking about this hacky schlock. Unfortunately, he wasn't. Warning, the following content is serious and deals with sexual assault. Skip to the timecode on your screen now to avoid hearing about the specifics.
Okay.
About 6 minutes into Cold World, your character overhears a phone call. In it, a woman is heard talking to a 911 operator about a man attempting to break into her bedroom. Within the context of the game, this is meant to be the victim of the killer your rookie cop is chasing. The call lasts about a minute and a half and ends with the man breaking into the woman's room while she screams. You may have noticed that I'm specifically choosing not to play this clip, and that's because it is a real 911 call of a woman being sexually assaulted.
Yeah. That is the level of lazy game development this guy is engaging in. So little originality. He found actual police audio of a woman being sexually assaulted and put it in his game for atmosphere dressing, set dressing, whatever the term is for it. Yeah. That is how much of a piece of shit this guy is. Do not support his games. Do not support his studio. Please.
I had to listen to bits and pieces of this call a few times to cross-reference them with a book from 2002 that included an official transcript of it. And honestly, it's going to be a while before I forget this woman, Sharon from Ohio, pleading with her attacker while her baby is in the room. It goes without saying, this is absolutely fucked. Shadow's Fate even went out of his way to find voice actors to record their own dramatized version of the 911 call. But Artur had to include a real person's desperate, haunting screams.
One, because he's a lazy hack, and two, because it's the easier thing to do, and they're just trying to throw together a piece of shit game for people to waste money on and regret, hopefully, after the 2-hour mark for returns on Steam.
for his stupid, awful video game. I don't even have words for this, honestly. It takes a special kind of callousness to not see a problem with including a real 911 call in your project that's primarily focused on being entertainment. I won't belabor the point because I'm confident that you get it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about the Artur Wączowski situation. I'll be reaching out to him on Supernormal's Discord, and if he responds...
I think that's probably enough, but like, please go check out BobVid's video on this. It's really, really good. He does good content. I subbed to him because of this, and I've been watching more of his content since I found out about this video, and it's been a couple days now. Good content. Really like it. So go send some support. Go comment on the video, which is linked down below in the description, that I sent you. Do not support this Artur Polish bullshit last name guy's content or his work. He's no doubt going to rebrand after this game fails and he's called out for who he is again, and people find out that he's the guy behind it. So we as gamers TM have a responsibility to look out for ourselves and our own wallets. These scammers with AI, the advances made with Unreal Engine, notably, and the amount of plagiarism they can do via asset flipping from the Unreal Asset Store means that random dudes in a basement somewhere can put together a trailer for for your dream game, and nothing even approximating a demo for that game exists. No actual playable form of anything exists for the game, and they can put together a fully polished, beautiful looking, highly appealing gameplay trailer for your dream game. That is the era of scam games we're entering here, where no longer do they have to promise things. They can show us the things we want to see, and it's all fake. It's what the day before is. It's what this guy's game is. They just asset flip. They can get really good looking graphics with the Unreal Engine basic settings. It's really easy now to get like AAA next gen beautiful. Oh, they must have put effort into this game looking graphics. And you can just flip assets from other games, recreate models that are slightly familiar to something maybe you've seen before, so it just evokes a certain familiar feeling in you that you can't quite place. It's beyond shovelware. We've hit bedrock. Yeah, exactly, Livy. A shovel can't break this bedrock. It's a really shameful type of content, and I feel like there's a certain aesthetic that these scam games like The Day Before and Stray Souls and whatnot have. Let me see if I can show you a screenshot of... Here's a good image. Oh, can I get it on screen? See this? This right here. Notice how this guy, if you've played or seen any screenshots of The Day Before, notice how this guy looks like a Day Before character? Notice how this looks exactly like something you'd see in The Day Before because it's AI. This is the kind of shit you're going to have to learn to spot when characters look like this. And I know it's hard to tell. There's just a certain uncanny valley about this guy where it's just like, this isn't a dude who exists. Oh yeah, his fingers are all fucked up too. Yeah. Yeah, look at the hands. They're all fucked up. Yeah, Jesus. Didn't even notice that. I don't really pay attention to hands, but yeah, Jesus, I didn't even notice that at first. I just noticed, like, look at the face. This is AI art, clearly. The face is what gave it away for me. The face and the hair. Like, this just isn't a real person. Like, they're kind of cartoony, you know? Yeah, the hands usually are a good giveaway if nothing else tells you. Anyway, I feel like looking for the AI art is usually a pretty good giveaway, and looking for obvious asset flips and ripped off things is another. Like, something you'll notice about both these games is that they all rely on riding the coattails of nostalgia for other games. The Day Before constantly evoked the aesthetics of The Division and particularly The Last of Us, right? They really rode the coattails of The Last of Us aesthetically. They wanted people to feel like this is like The Last of Us, is what they literally got exposed for saying in their meetings with their employees. They wanted people to think it's like The Last of Us. The same thing is here. They're recreating things that are just really, really similar, but not quite the same as games like PT, Allison Road, and trying to recapture that same magic with basically plagiarism. It's really shameless, but if you know where to look for the similarities, for the outright plagiarism, that's another really good place to look for red flags with new games you might be hyped for as to whether or not they might just be a scam. Remember when you were showing me the day before and I literally said part of the trailer looked like part of the Division trailer? Yeah, not only that, Balth, but they outright ripped several frames, recreated shot for shot from a Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies trailer. It really is that shameless. You got to be on the lookout for it, though, because this and the day before are just the beginning of a whole new trend of scams in gaming. I have a feeling we're going to see this become a big problem as Unreal Engine becomes more user-friendly and just anyone can throw together fake game trailer renders, gameplays to throw up on YouTube and say, hey, this is our game that we're making. Donate to our Patreon. It's going to be a big problem.